We are live, officially live. Here we go. Here we go. Day 2, made to feel. This is a 5-day course to get in touch with what you feel and discover your true self. Today is so important for day 2. This is about boundary work. Hello. Yesterday we talked about the difference between how we are made to feel and how we actually feel. And being able to understand discernment is exercising boundaries. I wish that we learn boundaries from a young age. And it is at the same time I'm learning the power of discernment, the power of boundaries. I am getting to teach my 3-year-old child boundaries and discernment around your emotions. And I can't tell you and stress to you how important this is as adults, where we are feeling for everybody and becoming codependent with what everyone thinks and feels and needs and does, and we stop feeling what we feel and we shrink ourselves and we dilute ourselves. But not here, not in the realm of life well made. This is about creating boundaries around how we are made to feel and how we actually feel, okay? So this requires absolute self-responsibility around your emotions. Okay, if you have or if you've grown up in a household where you were made to feel responsible for how other people feel, this is like a deconditioning. This is really exercising, oh, I can have boundaries. I can draw a line here where this is like not a situation I'm going to experience anymore or I'm not available for, period. So we really want to leverage boundary work. And now, if you are new to boundaries, let me know below if you have been strengthening and exercising your boundaries, because boundaries are for you. Boundaries are not for other people. Boundaries are for you. These are my boundaries. This is what I'm available for, and this is what I'm not available for. And being able to really understand what we talked about in day 1, your feelings versus other people's feelings, and we want to stop attuning to what everyone else feels and start to attune to what we feel. Attune every time. If you were groomed to always go externally in what everyone else thinks, what everyone else feels, what everyone else needs, this is going to be a huge lesson in shifting that to what do I think, what do I feel, what do I need. Okay, so why are boundaries important? Boundaries are important because in your own expression, let's say you're human, you have a vast array of emotions and energy in motion. Okay, if someone doesn't match you, someone doesn't feel the same way or think the same way or act the same way as you do, are you going to shrink yourself down to match and attune to these people around you? Or are you going to say, this person or this thing or this energy doesn't align with me, so I'm going to establish the boundary, a healthy boundary? Ha! This is the kicker here, okay? From creating healthy relationships and healthy dynamics with yourself and with others, from toxic relationships and toxic experiences and toxic dynamics with others, okay? So if someone doesn't like you, if someone can't respect you, if someone can't celebrate you, if someone can't honor just your existence, okay? We don't sit there and say, do you like me? What can I do to make you like me? Let me do this and fawn to constantly meet their needs so they like you. No more of this. This is where you simply say, this person doesn't like me, or this person doesn't make me feel liked, or whatever. And this is where you set the boundary. Because are you going to sit there and linger in someone else's energy if they don't like you, if they don't appreciate you, if they don't see you? No, this is toxic. This is what we've been doing. We've been trying to get people to like us, to show up for us, to be with us, to see us, to celebrate us. No. This is your opportunity to leverage self-responsibility. I'm going to be self-responsible. This is how we get to emotional sobriety, which is what we're going to talk about tomorrow. But in order to start to feel our feelings in a healthy way and create the experience and the relationships and the life, discovering our true self, being our true self, not being a codependent shapeshifter, attuning to everyone else's energy and emotions will make you fucking crazy and discombobulated and just, this is when you're constantly looking outside for safety and survival and security. This is where you can start to tune back into your body. You're responsible for what you feel and what you think and what you do. And anything that is not in alignment with that, we don't go into that. We set a boundary. This is the line in the sand. This is the stake in the ground. This is where this ends. So some of you have to create boundaries with toxic family and generational trauma. And do you want to keep sifting through this, or do you want to say this is where the boundary is and this is where the line stops and this is where we call this quits? Okay? You have to leverage how you feel and exercise radical self-responsibility. Okay? No one is responsible for making you feel a certain way. So if they have made you feel a certain way, you have to use your discernment and set the boundary. Understanding that not everyone is in alignment with you. That doesn't make you bad or wrong or something to be ashamed about. This is why we're going to go into emotional sobriety. But how can we get emotionally sober? How can we be clear if we don't leverage boundaries? Boundaries are for us. Boundaries is like the buffer between you and other people. Where someone else ends and you begin is your boundary. Okay, so if someone doesn't respect your boundary, you remove yourself. Okay, you don't keep just staying in the realm. This is where you have to leverage sovereignty. And this whole 5-day experience, one leads into the other. Okay, so really understanding how you're made to feel versus how you actually feel, and just using the discernment between the two, and how you really draw a line in the sand is the boundary. That's it. There's a boundary. Well, you feel what you feel and I feel what I feel. We're not being codependent. There's a boundary. Okay? So how many of you need to start to create some boundaries in your life, in what you feel? Okay, and this also, some of us need to look at where we need to regulate our own energy and our emotions and have boundaries, where we start to feel for others, think for others, judge others, project our experience onto others. We also need to have boundaries and be self-responsible with our own energy. Not everybody feels what we feel. Not everybody thinks what we think. Not everybody's going to do and show up how we are going to. So therefore, you have to have self-responsibility. This is how I feel. This is how they feel. Does this match? Is there a natural connection? Otherwise, what do we need to know? What do we need to leverage? A boundary. Boundary. A boundary, boundary, boundary. You have good energy. Someone around you is low energy and they're trying to bring you down. What do you need? A boundary. You're in a low energy and the people around you are in high energy. What do you need to do? Create a boundary, even internally. A boundary around your own negativity. Did that come from somewhere else? Okay, so I'm not going to go there today. I'm not going to think that way. I'm going to choose to opt out of that thought or that belief. That there's internal boundaries that we need to have as well with ourselves. So understanding boundaries, this is a feeling internally and leveraging yourself. Is this an external boundary I need to create, or is this an internal boundary? But this all comes back to self-responsibility. This is not about controlling another person, controlling their perception of us. No. What's my perception of me? How do I feel in this energy? If this is in alignment with me, is this expanding me? Is this making me feel small, contracting me? Whatever it is, that's going to give me the information that I need to create the boundary. All right? So if you haven't watched day 1, please go do that, and that will support you in the discernment, in the awareness of what's happening in your experience, and therefore you can make the executive decision to create a boundary, okay? So a lot of us, when you're kids, you don't have the executive function in your brain to make the decision that your toxic mom or your toxic dad or your grandmother is shaming you with their projections. You don't have the executive function to discern. This is where we have to be adults and exercise self-responsibility around what we feel. And we're all walking around like children on this earth. What do you feel? What do you feel? Well, this is what I feel. I'm going to exercise discernment around what I feel. Does this match my energy or not? If it does not, I'm going to create a boundary. Okay, I hope this class is very helpful and piercing through the veil of those who need boundaries. Leverage the boundaries. If you are a kind human, you want to have a boundary on people who manipulate your kindness or take your kindness for your weakness, or like that you're going to take all of their nonsense because you're kind. You can be kind and slay those boundaries. Okay, I'm telling you right now. You need to preserve your sense of self. How do we do that? How do we preserve our good energy? How to preserve, even if we're sad or if we're going through grief or something, how do we preserve that experience? Whatever we feel, how do we preserve that experience and feel what it is we are feeling, and not abandon or disregard or drop what it is we're feeling, or shape shift and adapt to what everyone else feels. This is codependency. We want to be independent and we want to be interdependent with others. Okay, you feel this way, I feel this way. Does this resonate with me or not? Does this resonate with you or not? Okay, we have to be emotionally sober human beings, and tomorrow we will discuss emotional sobriety. But today, in order for you to get emotionally sober, how and where will you exercise your boundaries? You are not here to get trampled on, okay? You are powerful. You're a creator. You have life force energy. It needs to be respected and preserved. You are not the recipient of everyone's judgment and negativity of this world. And if you've been, girl, boy, man, woman, human being, it's time to establish boundaries around your being. I love you, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.